Wayne, and this is Jason here at 360 Wealth. At 360 Wealth, we work with business families to help them realize their legacy. One key part of realizing your legacy is exploring what retirement might look like for you as a business family. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about that today.
Yeah, so there's three things that we're going to look at. First thing that we're going to look at and talk to you guys about today is, what are you going to retire to? When you're planning your retirement or looking at, planning your retirement, the very first thing that we ask clients to look at is envisioning what their retirement is going to look like. What do you want to do for retirement? Are you in a position where you want to, sit back on put your feet up in a chair and read a book, or do you want to go and travel the world, or do you want to start a hobby business? Right. And so each of those options, they're going to come with different amounts of capital and income that's going to be required to reach that. The other thing is that envisioning what your retirement is going to look like and having a goal that you want to reach in there is going to give you the energy and the motivation to do the things necessary to exit your business. And that's going to be really important because exiting a business is not exactly easy. And the other thing that we find with the most successful families that we work with in retirement is they have found a way to replace the significance that they get from their business. So business owners tend to get a lot of significance from the day, working in the business and being the business owner. And when you retire, you need to find a way to replace that. And a lot of families that we work with find that, volunteering or contributing in some way replaces that significance for them. So the next thing that we're going to look at here is, understanding where are you in relation to your retirement goals. And Wayne is going to talk about that next.
So where you are financially in relation to your retirement goal really boils down to what do you need from your business in order to have a successful retirement. So in order for us to determine what you need from your business, we have to start somewhere. We usually start by trying to figure out what you have available to you now and how is it growing. Basically, this means what types of assets do you have for your retirement? Do you have investment corporations, market-based investments? Do you have real estate that's going to provide you with rental income in retirement? What pensions are available to you, both government as well as employer-sponsored pension plans? And further to the types of market investments you might have, where are they held? Are they held in RRSPs, tax-free savings accounts, non-registered accounts, etc.? Once we know what you have available to you, we want to figure out how much is there right now and how often are you contributing to them and what amounts are you contributing to them. Essentially, we want to know how much those accounts are going to grow from investment returns and what sort of income you can expect in retirement for achieving your retirement goal. We always find it's best to be conservative in doing these projections so that we have good surprises rather than bad surprises. We also want to know when you plan to retire. Knowing what your retirement date is helps us to calculate things like how long your assets will be contributed to and how long they'll grow for, so we have an idea of what will be there at the time you retire, provided all of our retirement assumptions hold up properly. Thirdly, in order to figure out where you are in relation to your retirement goal, we want to figure out what your spending will look like. Is it going to be smooth? How much will it be? Will there be lumpy expenses like vehicles, for example, in retirement? Because what we want to do is determine how long your capital will likely last you based on the assumptions we've made and figure out what adjustments might be needed in order for you to achieve success with your retirement goal. Figuring out success can be difficult to do on your own. And so that's why here at 360, we put a lot of value in doing retirement projections. But that can still be tricky for business families who have large illiquid assets like family businesses. And sometimes just guessing what those assets are worth, it can be dangerous because if you guess something that's way too high, you might not actually have that there for your retirement. Conversely, if you guess too low, you may scrimp and save much more before retirement than you need to. Both of those have issues. So what we like to do is start with our retirement projections by excluding any value for a business. And the reason we do that is to determine what sort of retirement is possible without that value. There's two reasons. One, it basically allows us to identify what amount you need to get out of your business after tax and after broker fees in order to have a successful retirement so that we can work with families to help them create the value that they need out of their business using the proper professionals. And secondly, by excluding the business, it also creates a bit of a worst case scenario for you. So, what sort of income can you expect in retirement based on what you already have? Is it enough? Could you be happy with it? Can you plan a successful retirement without your business in the event that your business doesn't succeed? Because that does happen sometimes. Again, we like to plan for the worst and hope for the best. We don't only work on the bad scenarios. We do create scenarios where we reintroduce the value of the business to see what the impact is on retirement, but we don't want to rely on it entirely. So now, before moving on, we would just like to give two examples of reasons why retirement projections and figuring out what you need for your goal is very valuable for business families. My first example is of a family that we've worked with for a number of years. Every time we would sit down with this family to ask them how much they thought they needed from their business to retire, that number would go up and up and up. One year it was 2 million, then 4 million, then 6 million, and 8 million. And the other thing that stood out to us was that every time we asked them when they wanted to retire, it was always 5 years out. It occurred to us that what this family's problem was that they were not aware of what they needed in order to successfully achieve their retirement goal. So to solve this, what we did is we ran them through retirement projections. Those projections determined what gap they had to fund their retirement, and it enabled them to go and approach the sale process knowing what amount they needed net of taxes and broker fees and legal fees in order to have a successful retirement and achieve their legacy goal. All through the process leading up to the sale and throughout the sale process, we regularly reviewed those projections to make sure that the amount that they received when they received offers on their business was going to satisfy their needs. This enabled the family to make good decisions and to trust that when they accepted that offer, they were going to have a successful retirement. The second example that I want to give is a bit of an analogy that I sometimes use with clients. Um, I often think of retirement kind of like an island on the horizon, and you have to get there by getting on a boat and you have to sail there. Well, when you get on a boat, you don't get on it, chart your course, and then go below deck to take a nap and trust that you're going to get there because at one point in time you set sail properly. No, you need to be up there. You need to monitor it regularly, make small adjustments to correct your course because over time you may drift off course or have storms or things like that come up. Your retirement is no different. Over time, you will drift off course. And if you monitor it regularly, small adjustments will keep bringing you back on path. But if you forget to do those small adjustments, you may find that you drift so far off course that a major correction is required, or you may sail right past your target altogether. So hopefully those two examples help demonstrate the importance of using retirement projections and figuring out where you are financially in relation to your goal. So next, Jason's going to talk a little bit about some options to exit your business.
All right. So looking at the options to exit your business, there are a number of options. And at 360 here, we spend quite a bit of time talking to our clients about the different options that are available to them, analyzing the pros and the cons associated with each option. So I'm going to run through all the options, that we typically talk about. I'm not going to go into detail on all the pros and cons because that'll take too much time. But option one is to liquidate the business. That's relatively simple, can be done fairly quickly. However, you may be leaving some valuable cash on the table by going with that option. Number two and number three, transitioning to your children or transitioning your business down to key employees. We spend a lot of time helping clients with that type of planning. We spend a lot of time helping clients to look at the pros and cons of that type of planning. So you may find that that allows you to keep your business going, keep your employees employed. You're going to get paid out over a period of time from your business. And so those are all the pros. And some cons are that you may find you have to come back into the business at some stage because perhaps the business is not running as smoothly as what you would hope, or maybe something comes along that throws the business offline and you have to get re-involved. and start to get rework the business and just get it back on track. So there's some definite cons associated with that as well. Option number 4 is going to be selling the business to a third party. So that's definitely something that we've helped clients with. You're going to be able to get hopefully most of your cash up front on a deal like that. You're going to ideally know when your retirement is. However, the downside is that you may be paid out over a period of time on a portion of the proceeds, either through a vendor note or through an earnout. And an earnout is where your business has to hit certain objectives or certain targets before you get paid that money. So that introduces an element of risk. You may also find that you're going to have to work with the new owner for a period of time. That can be something as short as 3 months to even a couple of years, and you're going to end up going from the owner of the business down to an employee. And when I say down to an employee, I just mean that many business families find it difficult to become an employee of a company that they once used to run, and so they don't like to do that for very long. But sometimes it depends on how valuable you are in the business. Sometimes that's required to be a lot longer than what one would like. So there's some definite pros to selling to a third party, but there is some cons as well, leading to option number 5. Option number 5 is maintain ownership and have a management team run it for you. And so in that scenario, you're going to have the shares still. You're going to have an equity ownership in the business. The management team is going to run the day-to-day operations. That's a great option for many families, or at least at the outset, it looks like a good option, because who wouldn't want to own shares, continue to collect an income stream while not necessarily working in the business on a day-to-day basis? However, that can be very risky, because what happens if your management team leaves? What happens if the economy changes and it sends your business down a different path? You may find that you're 75 years old, coming back into the business after being retired for 10 years. So not exactly the scenario that many families would want. And we do talk to many families about this option, and we analyze the pros and cons and determine if it's a good fit for them or not. And many have made it work. So it's something that needs to be considered. So just in recap, what we've talked to you guys about today was just first and foremost understanding, what is retirement going to look like, right? What do you want to do in retirement? What type of income are you going to need to be able to do that? Then what we need to do is we need to understand, where are you in relation to your retirement goals? Understanding through running retirement projections, all of the assets that you have and how much income is that going to be able to give to you. And then from there, that transitions us into looking at ways to exit your business. And we just very briefly ran through the 5 options that are available. And these options, there's pros and cons associated with each one of them. So we want to thank you today for taking the time to run through all this with us. It was great. And if you ever have any questions or you want to discuss this further, you can reach us at realizeyourlegacy.ca. Thank you.
Thank you.